Fáilte roimh ar fad go Ecovillage Cloughjordan inniuh agus go tús or sratha éisteacht divan mar a cuireamad air. Agus is mór an honor a going go bhfuil Michael Cronin mar cainteoir a going inniuh agus a leabhar tábhachtach ar liomsa faoin Ghaeilge agus Éiceolaíocht faoi chaibidil a going. Agus is iontóg leam a rá freisin go bhfuil an talamh emerita Maureen Nicoan ling, Portach ling agus túraigh siise caint gear ar hábhacht leabhar Michael in níg an chóra a bheith go going lena chéile. So I welcome you all to Cloughjordan Ecovillage, and particularly to our guest speaker, Michael Cronin, whose very important book, Irish and Ecology, is what we're discussing today, and also to Professor Emerita Maureen Nicoan from Dublin City University, one of our leading Irish language scholars today, who will give a short talk on the importance of Michael's book. So come to so queer, vi me ceap me go raibh sé tábhachtach a rá ó hús an Ecofablan seo Cloughjordan, vi sé mar aim a going an Ghaeilge cuircan cín, mar sin tá anamnacha na shráidan ar fad san Ecofabal in Ghaeilge bháin, ní astriamhad go béirliad, so tá mise ag caintenis ó fearan geal, tá ord na gapal a going, tá taobh an trochain a going agus mar sin de. Agus freisin, bhíú ceartú chóra a going, bhíú rangan a Ghaeilge a going, agus le bliana nuas, níos mó na bliana nuas, bíon pop-up Ghaeltacht a going. Bhíú sé a going gáir sa bhí, agus beagán rih an díon glasáil bhagamar go uair sa teachtain. Gach sahran ag man le agus binne an fágur thuc riamar na an caint seo ag man le, sort in almost nu kan an spás an pop-up Ghaeltacht a líonú. Freisin bíon sesiún gach ihe déirdín, nu bhíú rih an díon glasáil I ceandas na pobanna an seo duolingual Ghaeilge agus sort ihe ceol agus chórá in Ghaeilge. Mar sin bíon go leor ócáidí agus rudí ar siúil trí Ghaeilge. An chórá seo le Michael, bhí sé agra le bheithe going an seo ag Cloughjordan, bhí cura tuga going go Michael teachtain seo ar an dar lá his fithe de bhí bealtainna, agus bu cuid den chlór ibre chlór I dacha sé bhí ó going go fithe sa fithar, nó bhí orine sin a chur ceall, agus sin cinnamar a chur lína. So we had invited Michael as part of our 2020 program of educational activities that I showed you here to come to the Ecovillage on the 22nd of May. Unfortunately, we had to postpone that, obviously. So then we decided to put it online. And this is the first, we hope, of a series that we call Deep Listening that we will be able to host. So it is an advantage really for us that COVID-19 has forced us to move into this new space. And of course, we couldn't have had 100 people here in the Ecovillage to attend Michael's talk, and certainly not people. I see people here from the Czech Republic, people from New Zealand, people from Singapore that are joining us today. So it's more on ócáid doing it.
I think so, yeah. People do, or do they? All right.
Now, tá duine ag an nachhfuil bolavathe is féidir liom a cloisteáil. Somebody is not muted there, so I'm hearing them if they wouldn't mind muting themselves. So, lena rá díobh ceapan muid na go bhfuil sé tábhachtach tús áitse a thabhairt an Ghaeilge inniuh ag an ócáid seo. Sé sin a rá go gcuirfidh mise ceisteanna ar Michael, ceiste bhain an Ghaeilge, freagraigh sé an Ghaeilge, an ceist dar gceann in Merle, freagraigh sé in Merle agus tuairigh sé ag an tús achhuimre gear ar an méid a dúirt sé in Ghaeilge. Mar sin nílamid chun astracán omláin I dhéanamh ar gachrad a deireamid, mar go gceapamid na go mbeadh sé sin ladránach, barling a cumad bio agus bríomhar. Beidh daoine ag scríomh ceisteanna nó macnamh le ling doing an chóramh ar siúla going, agus iníg an sos, tar éis chóra le Michael agus tar éis ceint gear le Maureen Nicoan beg sos quid nomad going, Carlucan a hen, no mar sin, agus an sin beg sesiwn questionna, macnev agus. Tuarim at beger querid the gwini oiraha, ma capmad na gwil ruddy tovak taka la raka, chakta shak agus a yen of bio mota dini sa station yen of. So I'm just saying that we are giving the pride of place to Irish today. So often minority languages suffer because the majority language is given pride of place. We want to turn that around. We're not doing a literal translation of everything that's said, but we are ensuring that for people who don't speak Irish, we believe that most of the people joining us today are Irish speakers, that people who aren't Irish speakers won't be left out. Every second question I will put to Michael will be in Irish and then in English, and he will reply in the language in which I asked the question. For the answers in Irish, he will give a brief summary as he begins answering questions in English as to what he's been saying in Irish. And Maureen McEowen, who will give a brief talk on the importance of the book, will speak mostly in Irish, but will give a brief few words in English at the end. I hope that's okay. We don't want to exclude anybody, but we do want to emphasize that for us, the moving into becoming genuinely a bilingual community, a bilingual space for discussion of this really important topic requires that we give pride of place to Irish. So with that, I'm going to introduce Michael, and I'm going to start our conversation, my conversation with him. Michael Cronin is a former colleague of mine at Dublin City University. He's now professor of French in Trinity College. Is Olive Lefranquish Shockdag Shockdos Ashe. Another Michael Canahev Gurbe Oluntok Lefranquish Shockdag Shockdos Ashe Shinan and Tiddle Ifigul. Tá an Kuramokeg Michael Keshna down the her Keshna Ashtrukana Kahoira to Galore Lar Filshege to quite the Golyar do quid on Shahagamsa and Lar Shafwin down do August and Tashtrukon, Lar Ella and Shafwin Myon in Nuka, Lar Antovaktoki Iad. Tá gá lear co-agraha son go raibh mise portach leis Reinventing Ireland a chur amach a Ghaeilge a dó agus Transforming Ireland Ghaeilge a né. So is co-agrahúirí sin Michael agus me féin orthú son. Agus tá seachas an lear seán Ghaeilge agus Ecolaíocht bhfuil tá faoi caibidil in Jobh, Irish and Ecology, tá lear eile Dáithangach, Kuramacheg Michael, Irish in the New Century, Nu and Ghaeilge san nua ish. Is bran sort corquige e shog will lia and liar emerla agus lia and liar in Ghaeilge. So Michael is a renowned international scholar on questions particularly of globalization and translation. Obviously it's an element of cultural globalization, a particularly important element, translation within the wider framework of globalization. And the book that we are discussing today is, to me, a profoundly important book. It's a profoundly important book for our discussions on the transition to a low carbon society, which of course is very central to the whole purpose of developing the Ecovillage here in Cloughjordan, but also for the future of the Irish language, where we take Irish from being seen as part of our heritage to being seen as an absolutely essential element of our future. And when this book came out, I must say, Michael, I was a bit jealous because I felt you had beat me to it. Plan atá gomsan á leabhar scríomh Ghaeilge faoin na ceistena seo. Ach ar nua agus an leabhar léite gom cúplúir an is an imearla agus an Ghaeilge, feicim se go bhfuil tú tar éis tú sa cur leis an gurt fíor hábhachtach seo ar shráva agus tá súilagam go leannig mé hu amachchan seo le larella ar an téma eile. So I'm delighted that Michael has published this book, and I think without further ado we will move into the discussion. Is that okay? Anybody want to raise anything before we start? Okay, let's go. Tá stoig me le ceis banúsach in Ghaeilge. Is tócha gur le bé crí lár an leabhar seo ná go bhfuil an Ghaeilge riachtanach don trasdal go sochaí ar carbóin. Agus is tócha gur bhfuil an focail sin riachtanach mé, cúplóir agus mé ag léamh an leabhar. Go bhfuil an Ghaeilge ní amháin Caurach ach riachtanach. So a bhí híl Beidir gevéid fá sa túsa chuir leis an gcóra trína bhíú doing canna heb go gapan tú go bhfuil an Ghaeilge riachtanach don trasdal go sucky ar carbóin.
Ja, well Ghaeilge is a fad bhilm mhuichtas go bháil chuileine Cloughjordan as a bhfuil seo. It's more an our gomsa a bheith páirte go córa mar seo. An dtí an rud hála fada ná. Has níos ag dtí am bhachtnamh cuasaí politiúla sa tíir seo agus an díspórt a bhí ann faoin ceist seo an artha éráide. Agus an rud a thug mé faoi deada. Nar a focail bit an, nar a focail bit an sa chápéisí, nar a focail bit an sa díscúrsa paibli, mar gheall a cuasaí teanga. Agus an dictú an rud a lumsa agus ban seo leis an ceiste chuir tú armsa. Ná an rud is bonúsaí agus tú ag déanamh do bhachtnamh hábhacht Éiceolaíocht na háite ná ceist na teanga. Mar leis an teanga, le thuirlis na teanga, déanann tú chuir síos an áit atá timpeall right. Agus mana bhfuil an teanga agatsa chun chuir síos ar an áit bíonn tú sort dal annach chuid gnéithe a bhanas leis an áit sin. Agus is dóilm hain agus is féidir pléin is fuide a dhéanamh faoin ceist seo. Ach maicinn tú mar hampla ar stair muinte na héireann. An rud a hála snéamhiste agus an taithreú tabaiste seo daoine ag dul ó teanga bháin go teanga eile. Ní raibh na daoine in am chuir síos a dhéanamh a thuile ar an tíagdeach. Ar an timpeallacht. Mar chail siad na focaile, chail siad an teanga a bhí acu. An teanga bhí an le 2000 bliain an nuas agus chuir síos leanúnach a dhéanamh ag teanga sin ar a timpeallacht. Agus is dóilm an rud a bhí lumsa ná gur tháinig sorta dí bheas nó tháinig dí spaga ar a timpeallacht agus ar hábhacht na timpeallachta as an aithriú tabasteach sin. Dá bhar sin, má táid ag íre mar hampla réiteach a fháil ar scéal na timpeallachta agus an dochar leanúnach atá neanamh agin don timpeallacht seo. Caiimiid agus tá sé seo peánach féchant ar an Ghaeilge mar ochar, mar uirlis chun teagmháil a crothú nó a crothú idir muid féin agus an timpeallacht. Mar hampla an cathair seo im lá chiléa. Cén tanam atá ar a gcathair seo Ghaeilge bailachlia nó Dublin. An fartis mó sa cathair ná Parc na Fionn Uisce. Tá mé héin ag gobar ag leis na tíóide agus is féil an féchant amach ar siráid hobar fáric ar Nasa Street. Sin dá sa Ghaeilge tá tagartí an ar fud na háite don Uisce, do hábhacht na Uisce don chathair. Ach I Méarla, Dublin, Nassau Street, Phoenix Park, tá tú dal ar hábhacht na Uisce, agus tá todhchaí na cathrach seo ag bra ar hábhacht na Uisce, ar hábhacht na nilibítí seo a bhhainans leis an timpeallacht. Agus, sort an tódam músach tamsa lein na gúrsaí seo ná tuis goláimid an teanga chuile le den teachtain seo Irlish, no mar dus mar ochre tá agin goléhol con teagfáil fracticule, ní me chaisfi rod tibi, tá me chaisfi rod fracticule, ach an teagfáil leanúnach léhol a dhéanamid leis an timpolacht.
Bra sin as braliams in the sampli a hogan to doing Mariola Tavok and Ishkem la clia shin sample on fracticule. Thank you, Michael. I'm conscious now that some people who may not have heard some of the really rich insights you had there. I'd like now to move on to another dimension of this, and it's a dimension, I suppose, that deepens the discussion that you've just given us in the answer to the first question about how we're blind often when we don't speak Irish to so many important elements of the world around us, and you gave really good examples of that. But I'm really struck also in the book, and I take this quote from page 11 of the English language essay, of the triumph of a culture of possession over a culture of dwelling. For us, in this eco-village, I suppose a culture of dwelling over a culture of possession explains very, very well what we're trying to do as an intentional community, owning the land in common, cultivating the land in common, having our own farm, having our own district heating system. So I invite you to reflect for us on the importance of this distinction between a culture of possession, which of course is so central to a capitalist mindset, and a culture of dwelling, and how we might move from one into the other.
Yes, Peadar, I mean, if I could sort of go back a little to one of the things that I was kind of alluding to when I was answering your previous question. One of the things that seems to me that happened as a result of the language shift in the 19th century. And of course, the language shift was more massive and more recent than a lot of historians had previously argued. But anyway, one of the consequences of that was that people found themselves in a landscape, in surroundings that they no longer had a language for. They became, if you like, sort of blind to the significance, the meaning, the historical situation, the geological origins of the places in which they found themselves. So what happens then is that as a result of that, then the main relationship that one begins to develop with the land is a relationship that is one of possession rather than one of meaning or one of significance. It's a kind of Sean O'Toole years ago said that one of the things that happened as a result of the kind of language shift is that what he called it, in his sense, a kind of a passion for place replaced a sense of place. Now, I would kind of slightly alter what Sean O'Toole was saying there, and I would say a passion for possession replaced a sense of place. In other words, that if you what became primordial then in the kind of the imagination of many of our compatriots was the idea of possessing, of owning the land, which of course is dictated very largely by the colonial dispossession that happens at the end of the 17th century. But what happens then is that all of the kind of the passion goes into possession and is removed from sense or significance, because the sense or significance gets stripped away from the place, which the language shift, the language transfer. So one of the things that I think is, and you can see this in terms of what becomes the kind of the recurrent political trope in Ireland. It's around land, it's around property, it's around property prices, it's around the recurring kinds of housing crisis that we have, which constantly run up against the brick wall of possession, private ownership, the sanctity of private property, and so on. And I think that a very strong root of this particular kind of problematic in Ireland is that language shift. And one of the ways of recreating, of deepening a culture of possession is precisely through the Irish language, because it's through the Irish language that you begin to understand, you begin to get a sense of the kinds of historical, narrative, physical, environmental embeddedness of the place. And the example that I gave in that question you asked me in Irish is that the city of Dublin, I mean, what did Dublin, you have this name Dublin, but if you have Dubh Linn, the dark pool, if you have Baile Átha Cliath, you've got the reference to the ford. If you've got Phoenix Park, Phoenix, I think bird, it's Park na Fionn Uisce, and you get the reference there to Uisce. My office looks out onto NASA Street in Dublin. NASA, okay, the kind of mark of the Imperial, but in Irish it's Sráid Hubbard Fáric, so it's Patrick's Well against. So it's the kind of source of water. The city of Dublin's future depends on how it treats its water supply. The very survival of the citizens of Dublin depend on the most precious resource of all, which is the water that's coming into the city. The marks of water are everywhere in the Irish language in the city of Dublin, but in English, you're made blind to this. So one of the things of if you like, the kind of the recuperate the finding a place again through Irish is the sense that you come into you dwell in the various layers that constitute or go to make up the particular place.
An Simuil ach ceandas na deacrachtaí atá goinge is dócha in ná mar luan tusagus mar dern tú sa leabhar go bhfuil an mion ifigiúil féin dail don de hábhacht na teanga agus don ról go ma ceart a bheoch ag an teanga I le na ggéircéime Éiceolaíocht seo atá goinge agus tugann tú an sampla ú fásach sin den astruúcháin an nearnú ag tús Comóra na heachtarí chun Comóra dhéanamh ar néideag sa séideag astruúcháin dhéanamh ar Google de ceandas na cápéisí luha le na Comóra sin. I mean, ba thú fásach an cur chuige do creite go bhhéit faoi stát na hhéir na le héidir a dhéanamh. Can I have go ceapan tú go bhfuil an mion ifigiúil có dail sin do hábhacht na teanga ach go háire le ggéircéim na Éiceolaíocha?
Well, is tólim hain sort ceist pasta ar bhealach. Ar bhealach a bháin féidir a bhíomh go mana sin le sort of ideolaíocht an éon teanchais. A tháinig an cín san éisteag agus go bhfuileann stát agus teanga agus I gás na héireann is dóna go an phríomh ideolaíocht seo a scapa ag a lucht ceannis. Ach fiú an dictú nuair a bhhainmar suirseamach Richard tír. Ní Janan sort an réaltas a raig bhealach leis an ideolaíocht seo beidir bhealach an istóibh hain. Ach is tóim bhfuil fá níos bonú sí ag baint leis ceis seo. Mar dúirt me san leabhar tá annach chuid taide, tá annach chuid oibre déanta le blianta beag anuas agus an taide fíor hábhachtach mar gheall ar hoc cheangólaíocht na Ghaeilge na chunsaí soch cheangólaíocha a bhainans le mea nó le marthanas na Ghaeilge. Ach is tólim ní mór an taide déanta agin ar an lé híoch teangólaíoch. Is é sin rá is tólim ní mór an díspóireacht paibli. No, few van mar haplas, and it's na hoskolna. Free cash show on sort on trauma changen. Maar Shachtweesteach dat ancorsiastente ag Patricia Palmer seo sa leabhar scríosi faoin an sort firéigen leanúnach a bhí an in Amsir an chonchais in éireann agus an teanga á scris ag an drama hána isteach sa tír. Go raibh ceist seo na teangal na teangan a ceangailte le ceist an iréigen. Agus san éuis déag an rud a hála Amsir an deoch híal an Gorta Mór ná an taisrú tabisteach seo agus dine agus bhí sé sin ag tarla hana hain ach fós hain an rud a hála in Amsir an Gorta ná agus is leomar hapla taide agenta ag Janine Altuna in Meliarsa duine an Jank agus tá annach taid agenta eki muint na Arménia sa Frank agus ní rá siad ag labhairt a deanga héna hiile gur astíoch na tefic seo go Frankis. Ach an a gentry sa leabhar seo, no an sort an fine na béileachta, no? Tá sort gá aim ag a mail, rudaí a rá agus rudaí a ihe. Go an sort an zú ceangal seo, idir ihe agus leabhairt. Agus má hepan aim a bhain, níl tú ná rudaí ihe a hiile, mar níl faic le nithe, níl beán. An sin, chun sé sin isteach aim na teanga. Agus fanan daoine ina dost. Ní an is ná ein rud a héile ach ní féidir ob leabhairt. Agus is tóliam go bhfuil anna tionkar ag an trauma seo ceist na teanga in Éireann. It's féidir chuileáit sa tír seo, má ardíonn tú ceist na teanga i dteach tarna agus tú an mé measta de cholúder. Tasníon díspóracht, tasníon argáins, bíon chur agus cóite bhain, ach an rud is fola sí ná orintí bíon na mothacháin atá á Hispáins ag na dtír is mothacháin láidre iad. Mothacháin na ferige, mothacháin na ceantaachta. Agus is dóilm hain go manan an sort an tost seo maidir le ceist na ról na teangan agus ceist na Ecolaíochta, go manan sin go banúsach le rud atá taobh hir de annachchuid díospóirtaí sa tír seo ná an trauma seo. Cén tead le bhí ag an leabhar sin le Seán de Fréine agus ag chuirsias Amsir an Ghaeilge ná The Great Silence. Agus is dólam táid ní bhain go rá an sort an tost sin an I gás na timpachta go dtí le déanaí ach bhí an tost agus tá fós an tost sin an margheall ceist na teanga.
Yeah, I'm delighted you moved into that issue of trauma. I was struck by the fact that it is in the Irish version, the Irish language essay in the book, that you have a section on trauma. You don't have a section on trauma in the English language section. And I mean, following on from the answer you've given about the trauma of language loss and the link between silence, I mean, the lack of speaking and the lack of food, you do seem to see that the possibility of us as a culture facing the ecological crisis will offer an opportunity for us to face finally this deep trauma, this psychological trauma that we as Irish people carry about the language changeover of 150 years ago. Do you really see this happening, that this is an opportunity that requires us to face that trauma finally, if we're really to make the transition towards a low carbon society?
I think so, Peadar, in so far as that one of the things that's very striking, you know, in so much of the kind of the discourse of language around ecology is that is the thing that we get from many native traditions. It's about naming the names. It's about calling things out. It's about identifying things. A Belgian philosopher, Pascal Chabot, who talked recently about one of the things that characterizes the kind of the ecological crisis is what he calls the black box syndrome. And what he means by that is that the fact that he says, if you look at the literature of classical antiquity and you look for extensive references to the most important source of energy in classical antiquity, he says you'll find it almost nowhere. The most important source of energy in classical antiquity was human slave labor. He says if you look at the literature of the 18th century, the 19th century, the 20th century, when fossil fuels provided the most extraordinary source of transformative energy in developed societies. And he says, think of the number of poems, think of the number of plays, think of the number of novels that you've read that talk about the most important thing, the most important aspect, the most important resource in all of these societies. And he said, you can count them on the fingers of one hand. In other words, that one of the things about the ecological crisis is that we have to bring out of that black box, the place of concealment, those things which have been doing incalculable damage to our world, to our planet, to our environment. Just as, for example, during COVID times, and you know, we're part of this now, it's part of an online conversation, but how much are we talking about the extraordinary damage that's been done by data centers, by all of the conversations that have been had virtually in terms of energy consumption. People talk about how wonderful it is that we can carry on all these different kinds of activities, but again, we're not mentioning the energy cost. So this kind of black box of concealment, it seems to me, also applies to questions of language. What happened, if you like, as a result of the initial violent trauma of conquest in the late 16th and 17th century, and then the catastrophic event of the famine and that oral connection between eating and speaking, so when the food disappears, the words disappear, is that in almost some kind of unconscious collective decision, the society pushed this deep trauma of language shift into a black box, much as it did with the kinds of resources and resource extractivism that has been doing so much damage to our planet and our world. So I think one of the things in addressing the ecological trauma, the making manifest, the naming the names of those things that compromise our very survival as a species, is that we are also, I think, compels us to address this extraordinary kind of silence in our society around the degree, the nature, the extent and the breadth of severe language trauma in our society. I mean, it's very interesting that in recent decades, when we've done so much to kind of flush out the the dark ghosts of perverse forms of clericalism, of institutional neglect, abuse, and so on, taking those kind of dark secrets and bring them out into the open. The extraordinary reluctance to do this in the case of language. We've had psychology departments in Ireland in every single one of our universities for more than 60 years now. Not one single one of those universities has engaged in a major research project on language trauma in Ireland. And that itself, I think, speaks, is very eloquent. It speaks eloquently about the nature of and the extent of that silence.
Well, jetu is lanu unta raig bevralium ach durmur gedurmud lahara clig dan corasha so tashi shin tuga going agus noi big chance going or having the chocolate question agus le machna agus marshinde agus bevralin galorama hortusan fellow galor destination question is galor lorella siljar agus film with our shin either in darling it's more an has come gwil in our law gwil porta going in you've on tol of America Maureen Nicoan be mar Coglaki lumps of freshen Ulster Carher Value Clea agus in all of America san éanad filter agus is scoil na Ghaeilge in Ulster Carher Value Clea is dinne de mór scoláirí na Ghaeilge sa lá tá nniuh ach go háir ó heh ceis na man agus áit na man chuir a láthair ó heh litréach na Ghaeilge de agus ní stéanaí tá si ina cóagar thóir Strát mar leabhar litréach na Ghaeilge fud an down, so an gné idirnáisiúnta de cultúr agus go saoil na Ghaeilge. Mar sin a bhhairn fáilseróid agus táid ag súil go mór le de caint mar leabhar tábhacht leabhar Michael.
Gur míle maithagad a fadars, gur míle maithagad as é seo a grú. Dosach báir bhailim an leabhar a phréaslú le Michael is sóilim go bhfuil na buanna ar fada as na leabhar ar fada a scríofa Michael go dtí seo ag baint leis an leabhar seo chuma an chuí a dtugann sé discúrsaí agus disciplíní agus tradiisiúna agsúlas muintóireachta le chéile agus go nhéanann sé nascan na tarthúla agus an sin go gurn sé aragóintí áitiach chun cín boníthe ar siúd. Bhailim nar an cúpla nóimeteach chatha beidir ag smaoine ar céir a bhfuil an leabhar dírithe. Mar sóilim go naithneoid Ghaeilgeoirí go leor gan na haragóintí atá sa leabhar mar is téamí móra I litríocht agus I gritic na Ghaeilge na ceistan ar fad a bhaineann le cuasaí inmhuaíochta is sóilim go bhfuil an imní ontóliach faoi cheachad an natanga hain cho lárnach sin sa litríocht agus a gritic tá sé an gcónaí ach tá na téamí eile tagach an cín freisin cuasaí timpachta, cuasaí bithe agsúlachta, cuasaí éráide tá siad abléig barábach sa litríocht choaimseirthe. So dá bhrí sin háláin go daco ag Ghaeilgeoirí le go leor den na haragóintí sa leabhar ach nílim beidir cho cinnte faoi cén ragart a bheits an I measc locht Éiceolaíochta nó gníomhaithe Éiceolaíochta cé cho hoscailte sa bheisiad. Mar is doch an bhanáid ná go bhfuil an dá discúrsa cho scartha sin óna chéile ar level an phobal, ar level policy agus ar level polítíochta agus uaireanta tagann siad le chéile beidir I ggó hecs gníomhaíochtaí timpeall ar chuasaí éráide beag páistí ó Ghaelscoileann agus ó scoileann na Gaeltacht ar ardain beag gníomhaithe gur Ghaeilgeoirí iad ar na meáin. Ach an rud a hárlíonn an sin a go mííon ar discúrsa cóthróver in Ghaeilge is anmh a bhíon an discúrsa na Ghaeilge agus discúrsa na Éiceolaíochta áflé I deanta chéile agus sin díreach mór hábhacht an leabhar go bhfuil an dá discúrsa tuga le chéile. Is fiú a chur san áirdamh go bhfuil scríbhíní san Ghaeilge éachan ar cheis na tanga ó perspectíocht éici cheangolaíoch go háirithe ó chasan na mílíse tá rion scríbhíní le teangolaíthe agus scríbhneoirithe agus gníomhaithe tanga ach níl rís an argóint sin denta. So más ceist Éiceolaíoch I ceist na Ghaeilge cad a hílíonn se sin de phobal na Ghaeilge sin cean na ceistena ascri and as an Narsha, agus Cadachili and Shay better than Horfig a polytool of Yachig and Bubble Shin. Cadachili and Shay done Glushach Éiceolaíocht, agus than Horfig of Yachig Kashu, agus Cadachili and Shay done Vor Fobble in Airdran, agus Gahari Habeder, Dove Shoe, the Vach Patuard. Fui question a team pelachta, agus patur homakena fui question a tanga. So, Lua me dir a couple pointen is a quick Weimar hain, the parsondex me glev and lower, agus Bader Valacher, sort pointy id, a danlum, mar heshana, mar aibana, agus and lower late gum. An head count, Camden really is tawachti o haven a politiach the culture, agus team pelachta. Is a mion and fobal Madrelena Gomez, agus Madrelena Roll Haynes na Kursi Shaw. One of the big challenges facing climate activists and language activists is the big question of motivation, especially when there's a sense of inevitability and a sense of helplessness about these issues. How do you motivate people about something when they feel that the forces at play are too powerful or are too remote from their everyday lives, or when there's confusion about the role of individuals, the role of groups, the role of the state, the responsibility of communities, the responsibilities of national and international bodies. And it seems to me that green issues and language issues are often looked at in terms of personal choice and personal behaviours. So you get political and community resistance. So the idea that a carbon tax won't solve the problem of carbon emissions because it's up to people themselves to change their consumption patterns. The idea that it's up to the people of Ireland to save the language, it's up to the people of the Ghaeilge to plan their future on their own. And it's a question in the end of individual will or community will, not a question of a fragile ecosystem that needs to be respected and supported if it's to survive. So that's the first thing that sort of stuck with me, and I'm working through it. And Dara canna gneid and scale of flater hanavas the laris, such a luiteg Michael and Chin, or question trauma, kesh gnein ECOLOGY, the psychological obstacles to ecological thinking. They're addressed in the book, the common attitude that the environment or the language makes demands on us, requires sacrifice, becomes part almost of a penal regime. But Michael in the book refers to Timothy Morton's book, Being Ecological, where a counter-argument is presented that being ecological can be a very pleasurable experience. And I think many of us have experienced that in recent weeks and months, where we've actually been able to experience and be more aware of our immediate environments. Modula Cursitanga data pleasure of a Ghaeilge sin fresh and marathon multa Risheg Michael Salarsha, Dov Dogfi and Tanga and Ghaeilge and Machas and Chomer Ranga, da Vechach with Irhi, Igohex and a Timpelachta and Sail Timpel Arin, Agus and Ruddy Simula Galera ta Timpel Arin, da Vechach with and Blazer of when and Nation Spraga. Of when and leve hedun, agus a dagwail a ruddy a diffrul like a culture a diffrul. And it's very interesting that many second language speakers of Irish, both of Irish and non-Irish background, the new speakers as they're now termed, many of them have emphasized that pleasure of language acquisition exactly in such terms, in terms of access to new cultural pleasures or new kinds of social interactions and freedoms of expression. And yet, that sort of narrative about Irish, or that narrative about language acquisition, it's not there. That trauma that Michael was talking about doesn't allow that to surface. And those sort of ideas, even though they are there in some critical writings, they're not often communicated in public discussion about the Irish language. So again, that's the second point. And the final point, agus an puinte mór socha sa leabhar bhealach na an chuí is scartar na discúrsaí na chéile, an chuí is scartar cuasaí teanga bhealach an díomhálach ó ghinéithe eile fiúháin de Irish na tíre. So both in official thinking and in community perceptions and experiences, there's a gap between the language and other aspects of our heritage and even of our heritage and culture. So you have a Department of Culture, Heritage in the Ghaeilge, in which there are 3 internal subdivisions that work independently of each other. So you can have a draft heritage policy that focuses on the physical and the built environment, but that doesn't take into account the non-tangible heritage that shaped and interpreted that physical environment. You can have a climate policy, as Michael mentioned, with no mention of language as a mediator of human interaction with the physical environment. So Maracle square socha, if ecological thinking is all about seeing relationships and interactions between physical and cultural phenomenon, well, there are many, many examples of it in Irish language literature, from the very earliest sources down to the work of so many of our contemporary writers. And now in the contemporary work, it's often linked to a global consciousness about sustainability, and it is linked directly in some of that work to issues of climate change and biodiversity and species extinction. And one of the things that this book does, I think, is to challenge Irish language scholars, because what Michael is arguing is that that richness of insight which is there is not being communicated adequately to policymakers or to the general public. So talú bar lár agus freagrachtar in galéir madra le seo. So tá muid go mór faoi chomainn ag Michael as an leabhar seo a scríomh tá terminidí spórdachta curtha os ar gcóir aige, agus is fuin atá sé inis na ceisna sin ar fad a phlé agus fechan leis na snáhanna éagsúla sin a thuairt le chéile ar waile leas an flánéid agus ar waile an tanga a chur focail ar an ispéir déana ar an Ilan seo ar feag na géad a blian. So gur maithagad a fadar.
Ar mí maithagad a bhharín, bhí sé sin an sever go jo, go bra. I forgot to translate the introduction to Maureen before I introduced her. She is, of course, the emerita professor in DCU in the Fianter unit and in Scoil na Ghaeilge, and is a very recognized scholar, one of our leading Gaelic language scholars, who's worked on feminist issues in Irish literature and more recently on Irish as an international language and international literature in Irish. Really important work. So it's wonderful to have her with us. So, Garmila Mahagut. Now, Tommy Consosa Hogant fa Quig Nomad Numar Shin. Davy, can I, before we start the break for 5 minutes, do you have the link, the email address of the Ecovillage and of Sheila the Gig that I can just briefly mention, that we can put up? Our website, www.thevillage.ie, contains now a virtual tour of the Ecovillage. So Aaron Siv Iderlina, then Ecofobble Ta Anish Trust Firuil Tadenta going the war na Dian na trust na Shaknula Vianagraha going a Queer Kial. So Shin Kianawan, August on Chopalaurata going it's a Cloughjordan Sheila na Gig. Tosh Tarishkant especially Ladini on Yaur or the Uhusan August Kurdikshiad Oiter Bay down here. So info@sheelanagig.ie Shin on Shola Reafish. So Sheelanagig, our local bookshop, where you can order the book from that, and that will be sent to any place in the world. So here now on the screen you have the Ecovillage website address, and there you can find the half-hour virtual tour of the Ecovillage. Of course, we invite you, once it's possible to do so, to come to the Ecovillage. So we have tours every Saturday and Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock throughout the year. Since the foundation of the Ecovillage, this is the first period where we've had to cancel those. So those obviously, as soon as possible, will begin again. So Garmila Mahagwev, Beg Sus, Kuig Nomadiganish, August Philemud, Egg, Yoganin, Riv, Hen o'clock. So we're now taking a 5-minute break, and we'll be back before 1 o'clock. Fulcheroy Farnash, welcome back, everybody. Killian and myself have been discussing some of the questions and the points. We are going to invite Diarmuid Coffey from New Zealand in now, who has been making a point about Maori, which seems very interesting. Diarmuid an féidir lása mar sin tú féin a dí bhalavu agus a ráling cad bhhailiat a reintling. Tá tus cóhaid san Uahélan?
Dígad Father Tom in Christchurch Falóher. Agus Tommy an seo beagach fé bliain inis. Cág mé rá dúsnach bhfuil éon Maori agam ach tá spéis gom sa teanga agus fecum go bhfuil cosúlachtaí éigean idir an dá teanga. Ní an iad mar dúirt mé sa cheist ach na cosúlachtaí leis na loganúnacha agus an Colínachas an tír Colínachas agus rudí mar sin tá sí le feicáil an seo freisin agus in éireann. Agus is dócha go bhfuil sort seileamh caiilte ag na daoine an seo ar an teanga cé go bhfuil beidir fiabhsú ag an tughéir le cúpla bliain anuas inis. Ach tá an leabhar léite gom Michael tá sé gom an seo agus buin mé an a hanamh as cad mé rá ach an taon rud bhí mé grá go bhfuil sort an leabhar agus an sort an dispóracht agus gach éon an chórá agus gach rud tá sé ag brathnú siar is slíomháin agus an ceiste bhí a gom ná an bhfuil is cadíd de thuúram éon an seo nó Michael a gach éana conas na slíte gur féidir linn go practicúil an sort an nascidir an teanga agus an cóhéal úsáid agus just chun dulling le leis na fáimna cosú lethú I roiide agus an ceiste chuir mé an bhfuil éon grúpa cóhéal in éireann a imíonn go thomláin as cuilga ní dóilm go bhfuil níl an seo as tíréo níl éon rud ach tá me gníomhach le grúpa an seo agus sin ag géirig ar an rialtas an seo rudí ag an dhéanamh leis an ahrú é ráide agus freigracht an rialtas agus rudí mar sin ach tá sort dailt idir an teanga agus na grúpaí agus ní eicem an seo agus ní eicem in éireann conas gur féidir linn an nasc sin a chreisiú nua a láidrú. So an bhfuil éon túirmí a ggéine bhí gom.
Anna, you're delighted to have Diarmuid from Christchurch making that point and asking Michael and Maureen about the practical ways that we can bring these two discourses together. But I one or two others. So John Walsh, Walliat's Fulcherod. Ar ná tá anna go ar an ecofobal ach tá díú is dóile mar ceis na glasaigh agus córéalteachs mar sin de ar bhhailite.
Bhí ceiste gom fao sin, I mean, be chuide go bhar neolalas go rás I bhhail don gointas glas Beiidir, cha mé me leisce le bháil faoi chaidán an cheamra, tá rud éigen mí ceart leis a gamra agus tá an chuma an ghfuil ceo sa seomra. Ní réon cheo ann. Bhí bhil an gointas glas Beiidir chábhílas cúig, chábhílas a sé, timppla Amazon, agus dhéananas tréin éireacht ag an am ceist na Ghaeilge a bhrúch an Kings na glasaigh, agus bhí seanna dhheacair. Nis bhí roinnt daoine maithe ann go raibh tuiscinnte go ar na rudaí bhí á bléagaing in Ilfas dóilm, ach níor bhreathas go raibh spéis dáiríre ag ceannareacht an fáirtí, cé go raibh Ghaeilge líofa ag Trevor Sargent ag an am, agus gur hiic sé cuidas na rudaí, bhí sé thar bheith díirithe ar rudaí eile, agus is feib níos lehanna í seo go bhfuil an Ghaeilge go thomláin imimeach sa chóras polítíochta trí chéile, is maisiúcháin cultúra í. Go gatar cúpla pingin le ag an nóma deireanach nuair atá na tosaíochta eile ibritheamach ag an rialtas, agus tá seanna dhheacair dulling leis sin, tuis go bhfuil an teanga héin cho himimeach sa discoursa Ecovillage, tá seanna dhheacair í a cheanga le rudair bith eile seachas an teanga héin. So what I'm saying for those who don't know Irish is that I mean, Irish is so marginal in the political system. And when I was a member of the Green Party, 10, 15 years ago, I got a sense of this when I was trying to push these questions in the Green Party. And I didn't feel that there was very much interest, or if there was interest, that the interest didn't go much further than a very limited, perhaps, awareness of some of the, the issues of the place names are very important, but, that's an important element. But there's a big difference between promoting knowledge of place names as part of a respect for the environment and to promote a culture of dwelling rather than possession. There's a big difference between that and a broader societal strategy to promote the language in a, to be spoken and to be used in a more widespread fashion. And there's a huge political blind spot about this. And Irish is at best a kind of an additional cultural decoration that gets the crumbs after other things have been sorted out. And I don't know if the Green Party is any different really to any other party in that regard. And I'd be interested to hear what people think about that.
Gurmil Mahagat John. Paul Leach, Paul and Wiltuan, or Walyats Keshtukur. Paul, are you there? We'd like to invite you if you'd like to make a brief comment.
Okay, Tom Shawn, Tashian Jacker, Dumsa Hosnu Kaintas Ghaeilge Agus Berlachus is a known Tash Americas. So I lapse into English if I may.
Well, you're doing pretty well in Irish.
I put Milcheko Flusher Shinagum. The Kermeg Ghailge Sabuska, and a number of the questions, and to be really brief and value our speakers, is to ask for discussion of the Ghaeilgeocht Idaratha between our sense of land and building, ecological building, the very concept of Cloughjordan, the music of the words, the ancient sense of territory, much closer to the Aboriginal sense of country, what they call country, and their sense of what bush tucker is, and the listening to the land, and the lines, the song lines, and the dream time. These are in Brehon Law. And Sean Keshno, when we're discussing, on Cloughjordan, Chach, Cray, Le Diam, these words imply a sensibility. And to finish it, I put a question on Sperla, that we're in this whole post-colonial oppression, that 98% of civil servants stayed at their desks. The Office of Public Works at 51 Stevens Green continued seamlessly. I consult their archives, which seamlessly pass back through independence. And whereas we explored the reinstitution of Brehon Law, after very few weeks, a study group of very eminent lawyers found that we were stuck with imperial common law to this day. And implicit in that law is the concept of the person as subject, and the concept of land as private, as property privately owned, which is inimical to our deepest nature. And as somebody remarked in the chat box, it bubbles up whenever there's a dispute like the Mayo Shell to Sea campaign. The very inbuilt sense of person and territory, of a short life. As I reached the biblical age yesterday, I'm so conscious of that. Now I'm slightly dangerous after 70 because I'm not invested in the corporeal world. I'm, as the Africans say, eating my last meal, so to speak. So it frees the mind and also revivifies love of language. So finally, when Mancon is talking Ghaeilge about our beautiful, beautiful trees, the sensibility even in the words for the trees, describing the processes of trees, this is most eloquent about our sense of self. Shinnon Kesh, discuss.
Good, Paul. Agus for Yara Morid Nikra, Walyatsa Kupla Rudder Rolling, Matota Reg, New and none with a rag.
No, Tommy Reg, hello, Gachtan and Tommy and so in Nathan in Alban. Agus ta an lawer later gom agus massam Ghaeilge go húnta fad agus an téma tá an is ní ceist na Ghaeilge ach téma idirnáisiúnta atá phlé going agus tá buint a gomsa agus ag mar céile níos mó leis an Alliance for Intergenerational Resilience agus na ceistan na céanna atá á phlé a cosán. Bevalm gá cheist a chur Michael Kirby ceanháin an Ghaeilge agus an cean eile méle. Cad é an difriocht idir téma an leabhar seo agus argóintí sapír bhharf, mar ní bhí an meas madra ag daoine san nátá nó bhán ag na argóintí sin. A bevalm, churann sé sapír bhharf, churann sé George Steiner, Hans Gadamer agus na daoine sin go léir a gcuine dom, measam go bhfuil na hargóintí céine beidir go bhfuil difriochtaí beaga bevalm an cheist sin a phlé. Agus an tarna ceist Tá imethe sé an le demlína nó le fethe bliana nó beidir le trícha bliana ní gom. Curriculum na Ghaeilge na scolanna san lá tá nó bhain. Cad a álamíon na páistí ar scoil, nuair bhíonn siad ag fáil na Ghaeilge, an míonn siad ag fáil an bríthire nó éireacht nó nádúr. Is it time to call for a radical change in the Irish language curriculum that's taught at schools? Garmagut.
Anish, Michael agus Maureen, while Bejer vor Vragri agus vor Maknav a hortoing whose son, agus noit hogalor question agus Maknav elish griefeg dini, that she called Severshin ni federling dol tri who are father, Bejer go will Kiana go Pioka Maka Gwivsha Gamawaliev, Bejer Fragre and a hortoid and a rodeg and a raw fuhu. Marshin, Michael.
Yeah, well, anachid keshna and better get the shears while better on major doors no on keshnaker John Malchin Marial Corsi Tang agus Corsi Polatula. Is that counts the Jack TV on Gatisha no Kinte vi is ag loch na Ghaeilge gedal an teanga tábhachtach gur hig cuiiteach mar dúirt Maureen an teagháil le cuasaí timpeallachta le cuasaí stada le todhchaí Éiceolaíocht na tíre ach is dóilm gur hep orin annach chuid na hargáin sin a chur fi bhráid pobl níos leithne. Sin cné a bháin scéal. Cné eile ná neadar an rá na hargáintí oibre amach agin. Faoi na ceisne ach na míocha, faoi na ceisne socht cultúrte, faoi na ceisne síoch cultúrte. Nadidir mar hampla chuomh na Ghaeilge ará an obair sin déanta agin agus na hargáintí oibre amach agin agus iad curtha I dearmí idirnáisiúnta. Mar hampla tá ag smaoinemh nobar atá déanta ag lehéidí Seanmhar I Wallachan. Mar gheall ceist na Ghaeilgeach gnéithe ach na míocha agus ghuiil an sort an alsúnach nua atá an réimse ghuiil se sin bunthe luchanna a bhhainans le cuasaí teangar bhil níos de caint faoi raich fad tearmach muinteras buan, fréimhacha áitiúla, teornacha aithanta, pobl fálamtha, freigrach ceannarí, ghuiil na luchanna sin I ddíolóir na falsúnachta nua atá an I réimse an agus is féidir na luchanna sin a teangal le ceisna na teangan sin rud a bháin ach an rud eile ná an na hargan sin a chur fi bhráid pobl níos leithe. Agus is donna go man sin leis an ceistechar so I ddíormart armsa ná agus rud a bhain mar hampla dúirt Maureen ná conas is féidirlinn dul I raig leis an na hargáintí seo. Is dónam leibhéil a bháin Ghaeilge síos caithimid lón smaointeoireachta, caithimid argáintí ní bháin teoiriciúla ach treachciúla láthair de chuoine an céad céim eile ná brúgrúpaí a chur ban, dolasteach sna báirte politiúla agus brú a chur forlatóirí. Agus is dóim hain rud agus Spanish sin le ceisián an Mary san hotel ná go dtí seo is son go banúsach saoíoch an Ghaeilge mar chuid den discours náisiúníoch agus gorá mar chuid de chrid an náisiún chun saoirse a bhaintach. Agus is dóim go raibh glúiseacht na Ghaeilge agus go raibh anna chuid de smaointeoirí na Ghaeilge. Bhí siad ag déanana compráid idir an tír seo agus an íseol tír nó an bhelig nó an Ionnan agus tíortha forbtha nach iad. Ach is dóim hain ceartúin a níis ceist na Ghaeilge a lonú I ggóhéics na mondúchasach. An digital sort an rud atá taka chun cín America here, America has agus a tíre ar fod an down. Gwyl anchuiti a chur béime smuinteoireach na mondúchasach, mar smuinteoireacht atá ag féchant ag breachnú amach talkí, níos le smíanamh an rud a bhean roiinó, rud a bhain leis an stair nó an am se chait nó rétá. Tá siad ag ghuiil an smuinteoireacht seo bunathe na riachtanis a bheas ann chun an timpeallacht a chothú. Agus is dóim hain rud forrásach an discourse no an teanga a achlonú in na mondúchasach sin. Seachas is dóim an rud a bhí an go dtí seo ná gromig ag íre sort an Ghaeilge a lonú in an nu amsachis grámid gére a bheith cosúil leis na tíortha forbtha eile. Ach níos agus muide caint faoi Herbert eile, go bhfuil muide caint faoi Forbert omláin gifriúil, caithmid bheith ag smaoinemh muid mar chuid den sort cointas dandathe seo na mondúchasach seachas a bheith dul numiocht leis na tíortha nuaimse eile. Just one final thing about the questions that Mairead asked about. Just in terms of the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis, one of the things that I think needs to be remembered is that there's a kind of a sort of crude caricature of what Sapir-Whorf were up to. Is that basically that the language that you spoke determined in a very fundamental way the way which you thought about and approached the world. But I think there's a way of thinking about linguistic relativism which is much more useful, which is that what language does is that it doesn't determine how you think, but it gives you possibilities of thinking. In other words, it gives you frames of reference, it gives you alternative pathways, it gives you alternative histories, it gives you, so in that way, what language is doing is it becomes not a form of confinement, a kind of a determinist linguistic confinement, but a form of sort of cultural liberation, where you're opening up all these other things to you. I think in terms of what the Irish language curriculum, I mean, one of the things that I argue in the book is the need for much more outdoors thinking, taking the language out of the classroom and bringing it into the world. Now, I think, and I know of certain teachers around the country doing extraordinary work in this respect. But they're doing this very much on an individual basis, and I think it is certainly one of the things that needs a kind of thorough rethink. Is bringing Irish, outdoors, bring it out of the classroom, and that to some extent echoes what I think needs to be done politically, which is to bring Irish outdoors, and to bring it out of the classrooms, out of the studies, out of the libraries, and bring it into the outdoor political arena.
Míle maith Michael. A worry nar bhile in aishragra hort gus an pléise ar fad?
Dúrach cúpla pointe an pointe faoi sense of space, sense of belonging, sense of territory. So lim go bhfuil sé sin fós anna láidir I gantrachaí áirithe Ghaeltachta agus cean amháin gan rudí a bhainean le cultúr natanga fós ná an bhéim ar an áit agus an áitúlach sin agus sin bhfuil potential in sin beidir le glúiseacht a bhanú ar sin a thuairteach le chéile na snáine éagsúla ach tá rud casta mar fiúin sna counter Ghaeltacht is láidre ní bíon díspóirteachtaí móra a bhainean le rudaí a bhainean leis an timpplacht agus bíon siad tasí agus ní bhíon siad á damáint a gcónaí ag tuiscintí Éiceolaíocha so tá égur mar dúir Tim Robinson gur carbon frugal communities chuid wá den na counterchaí Ghaeltachta na counterchaí tá fós na counterchaí Ghaeltachta ní honan é sin agus a rá go méid políocht Éiceolaíoch techt chun cín antab agus so gur bin an cheiste bhí ag John Madidir leis na pártaithe politú bhfuil an ceartach ag John ach stoilm go bhfuil potential an má échan tú ar rudaí ag tarlú ar an talamh I geantar agus sam ag smaoineh ar rudaí ar nós Irish Torcoríne, in Gaeltacht Torcoríne, nu Orswartin Chain, agus na honid fadata oscailte muintras I Gonamara, it is Gael I Dear Conan. Sin áitena ina bhfuil nasca dhéanamh idir an tíorrach, agus an teanga, agus an tordasáireacht, agus an idachas fuintre na háite, agus idachas tordasáir a hagan go dtína county. So ceapam go bhfuil potential sna rudaí sin, ach níl siad politiúil go leor is dócha le gemach siad nascahers ar bhealach sách dain. I mean, Soundplan of that shell to see, it's no coincidence that sacrifice zone, that was a sacrifice zone, it was a Gaeltacht region, it is a Gaeltacht region. What the people were defending was the landscape. And it is no coincidence that same region, and since that campaign started, that they did a micro mapping of that landscape. And so that the interest in micro mapping, in naming, in reclaiming what is there, and naming it for their own communities and for visitors, it's part of that Fasach Cultura and Fasach Tanga. And in that instance, it was linked to a major global issue. So there is potential, I think, looking at the communities. All you have to do is listen to Radio na Gaeltacht to see how áitiúil it is, how the local is really, really important. But it hasn't produced what's needed, I suppose, is a Gluaiseacht Gaeltachta, Gluaiseacht Chearta Živíolta na Gaeltachta, the Gaeltacht civil rights movement, which again had elements on their agenda in the 60s and 70s that were ecological issues. We need something like that again, something to bring together the energies, those local energies. So that's just my thoughts on that. In relation to education, I agreed absolutely with Michael, and I think the key is cohahu, integration. I mean, the primary school curriculum is meant to be integrated. Teachers are officially meant to be teaching other subjects through Irish, and that. But there's also a lot of removal of cultural content from the curricula, particularly at second level. History, and history's been put back now again at junior cycle level, but geography was taken out. And I thought when they decided to take history and geography out, that they were taking the context, the very context that you could bring Irish out of the classrooms in, they were taking it out. So they put back the history, but they didn't put back the geography, and they should have, I think, and maybe there's a campaign to be had in relation to that too. But I think integration of the various strands where education is concerned, and as Michael said, bringing it out of the classroom.
Míle maith go bhhairlín támad ag teanú chun deirí faríor, déitemis leanú tar raig ach dúramar gus nómad go deire ag leabhar héan. Just cúpla amach na bh héin, rí sé chum a gcónaí go bhfuil sé an simúil na tuarascáilna chuireann an panel idir rialta som arthú éráide IPCC a Merla, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, agus ar nóid anna chuid teannachar ag na tuarascálacha a chuireann siad san amach. de rare céile fecinn se gohfuil siad ag leagan níos mó béime ar thábhacht an sort an curcuig ar thábhacht an culture na mondúchasach mar a chuirn siad san orthu, the indigenous cultures and indigenous languages. So the IPCC reports are giving much more attention to the importance of this to offer us new pathways towards a post-carbon society. Agus ar nói sin gadíireach an rud a bhí ó phlé a gringa inniuh. Indigenous doesn't sit very well, I suppose, as a description for most Irish people with our Gaelic culture, but of course that is what it is. Bun Dúchasach, the natives, not necessarily people who have lived for generations here, as Michael made mention of the new Irish, and the fact that they don't bring the baggage, obviously, often the trauma that has prevented so many Irish people from engaging with the richness of the culture that has grown up here over millennia and millennia to fashion community and livelihoods out of our soil and our climate and our landscape. So I think today's discussion has been in many ways responding to that call from the IPCC that we begin to call on so urgently and so necessary the cultural riches of so-called indigenous cultures, the plurality of cultures that is so restricted by a monolingualism and by particularly a neoliberal market-led approach to development, economic and social development. So gur míle maithagwibh, they play sever going Estolium, ta sueligam gwil tús cuire going le rud a leannig a raig, ar nói tá lear Michael Aun mar achvan an sever, ta sueligam go léigh cuile gine a ceart ar nói gimach sé ar curriculum bunscolna agus manscolna agus severus Aun agus Winchi ko tovachtocha sin le taringtas leg of etemush curcuig an nua a vuskelt agus usaiden Michael on focal fuskelt oitegan seljaur stolium gwil sin ko tovachtoch sin ta aspa sort curcuig a fuskelta aun a loher na hur agus ta gergo So I don't want to end by giving yet another lecture. I just want to thank everybody. I hope you found it useful. I hope particularly for the people who don't have Irish. I noticed Rita, our own Rita here, who comes from Portugal, making a comment about that. I hope you didn't feel excluded. I hope you understand why we gave priority to Irish, because so often, of course, priority is given to the world's big languages, and this is a lesson in itself. I want particularly to thank Michael and Maureen, who have given so generously. Michael has begun to unveil some of the richness of the book, but of course in a short period like this, it's only some of the richness. So gur míle maithagwibh go léir agus go Michael agus go Maureen a go háirithe agus tá suailligam gevogig shiv or shoulder refuished an liste tá going leg of gemioch shiv gevetum shiv a cuir nolas a machan le ócáidí eile den srasha éisteacht divan atomid a cuir bonaniuv. I hope you will allow your emails to be used so that we can keep you in touch with other elements, with other sessions that we will organize, webinars about in this deep listening series. We hope to be able to draw in people from all over the world as speakers, and hopefully we will again make sure that we have a richly bilingual dimension to what we organize. So, cuir mé deire leis, bíú deire seachtain a maithagwibh ar fad gur míle maithagwibh tar éis fanachling ar fa uirgile ag cléig agus feicimú le chéile sarawat tá suailligam. Slán.